Market Peak with Seth and Matt. Welcome, everybody. This is Seth and Matt with Market Peak, P-E-E-K. This is Saturday, April 3rd, recording a day late this week. But, you know, it was an off day on Friday. We took an extra day ourselves. Rocking the Stormtrooper today. So for those of you who recognize it, rock on. If those of you who don't, you know, just go ahead and jump on board. Please subscribe and like. If you want to wait a little bit, we get it. Subscribe over there, like down there. Got a lot to cover today. We're going to be talking about shrimp. There's an anticipation that they're going to be in the NASDAQ within 8 weeks. Well, actually 7 weeks from now. Maybe even 6 by the time you guys watch this. Palantir paid off a debt. This is something that I saw posted in the Palantir subreddit. Pretty awesome news there, I got to say. And then the market's held up, which is pretty awesome. So Matt's going to have his 3 charts. As always, we're going to make our own predictions. And before we get started, got to say it, we are not financial advisors. I mean, would you really take financial advice from a Stormtrooper? Let's be honest. So do your D squared, do your own research, all that stuff. And please, you know, follow along. All right. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with swaggy stocks like we always do. GameStop has taken top place once again, 17%. Tesla right behind at about 16.5%. Palantir and AMC after that about 8.7%. And then a bunch of others, you know, Apple, Facebook. Facebook is like 30% positivity right now, maybe 33, 35%. It's not looking too good. Palantir, there's a lot of negativity up there, I got to say, considering. But, you know, Tesla's still holding at the top. I would imagine it's going to probably stay that way now, right? Especially with the whole infrastructure bill and everything.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, the sentiment has always been generally positive
for Tesla.
Stocks,
Sure.
Yeah.
But it just isn't so dominant on Wall Street bets. That's what's just kind of interesting. Like the last 2 weeks, even before the infrastructure bill, it just kind of, maybe people thought it had, you know, bottomed out, which you had kind of predicted and we had discussed. So maybe it's finally coming to fruition. All right. So that being said, we can go ahead and move on. Moves we made. Normally we talk about the stuff that we did, but I didn't do anything. Kept my QS call, my QuantumScape call. So as you can see, I'm up for about 18%. I bought it, I think, what was it? Not that long ago, like last week. I expected to do really well. It doesn't expire until May. And at the same time, you know, I'm already up. Chances are it's going to keep going. And especially with everything going on with the 900 people added to the employment and all that stuff, which is awesome for the country, 900,000 that is. So we can appreciate that. We're going to talk into it when we get into the predictions. Kept my Watt calls, of course. I mean, Fuel Cell, Palantir. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a run. So, all right, let's jump into shrimp. So luckily for us, you know, this is our number one stock that we kind of talk about. And we've been following it ever since we started the show. Actually, about 2 weeks before we started the show, when I started researching stuff we wanted to really pay attention to, I would say more recently, we've been really focused on it. But about 2.5 months, I've been watching it. And luckily, every week it always happens to have some sort of news we can talk about, which is great. And as you can see recently, if we look at the 5-day, it had a really, really big jump. And the reason why is because they're predicting that they're going to be in the NASDAQ in 8 weeks, which is kind of crazy. So it's interesting that they feel as if that's a possibility. The fact that they're saying it and on camera means chances are it's going to be true. If you check the stock twits, a lot of people are disappointed because they say they're setting up for failure. A lot of people say, well, they've been, filling all the promises so far, so why not? So what do you think? I mean, were you surprised when you heard that?
No, not at all. I mean, they're OTC right now, meaning you have to go through a broker. Cheers. Wait, what is that? Hold on. I'm going to turn off the Stormtrooper to explain this because it is kind of funny.
That
weird Star Wars colored drink that Luca enjoys?
My lovely wife, she decided that we were going to juice for 5 days. So this is dinner, folks.
Okay.
Lots of ginger, carrot. There's some pineapple.
Yeah.
Some orange juice. Smell it. Anyway, it's different every day. Some of them are great, some of them are not. I've actually lost 5 pounds, that's the whole purpose, the catalyst. I got a new job in sales, and I got to fit into my old suits, and I got to start looking good. So this was, and she's doing it with me. Got to give her credit. So this is dinner, folks. You know.
All right, that does well.
But if you look at our
give yourself a round of applause for that.
Okay, fair enough. That's right. If you look at our first episode,
dinner that comes into a reused Chinese.
No, dude.
Container.
You know it's funny you say that because she was like, "You can't drink there on your show and that." I was like, "Why not? Who cares?" She's like, "Get a glass or something." I'm like, no, glass I could spill. I'm not spilling this. She's like, "You're gonna like you can't. Your stock show. You're gonna drink it out of a wonton." I was like, "Yep, you're darn right I am." Anyway, folks, back to your regularly scheduled program.
It could be hype. I don't think they would come out and just, make such a claim based on nothing. They are OTC, meaning you have to go through. They're over the counter, meaning you have to go through a broker right now. Sure. So wherever they get listed, it's going to be good. It's going to be a positive.
100%. I mean, this is
that gives more people access.
It's every OTC stock's dream, right? And not that many actually make it. That's the thing. Yeah. So I got the requirements here. What are the rules to be listed on NASDAQ? Shareholders' equity at least 2 million, at least 100,000 shares, public float, minimum 300 plus shareholders, total assets of 4 million, at least 2 market makers, $3 minimum bid price. Oh, $3. I thought it was 2. That's interesting. Public, because everyone, when the shrimp world, they're all like $2. Public float market of 1 million. What's at least 2 market makers? Do you know what that means?
So I guess just 2 major kind of liquidity flow managers.
Okay.
To help set prices and basically control order flow.
Sure. So they're not just winging it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming if they're being prepared for a list somewhere that they already have most of this.
Sure, of course,
most of this business, set up. So
$3 minimum, and they don't have to get there; they have to stay there. So it's not like, they do whatever it is that they're going to do, which we're about to talk about. They can't just we're at $3. They have to stay there. And that's a little bit more easily said than done. You could do all kinds of stuff.
Stability matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, for big indexes.
And there's a lot of people, I hate to say it, but let's be honest. There's a lot of people, especially the Jane whatever, who's been shorting. In fact, let's look up. Let's see where they're shorting right now. MP short interest. Here we go. And it looks like right now they are 65%. So it's going up, actually. When we talked about it last week, it was like 47. That's insane. Market volume of about 5.1, short volume about 3.3. So if the stock goes up to $3, those short people are going to go crazy. Then we could actually turn into a short squeeze, interestingly enough. But there's going to be some people that sell. If it somehow gets to 3, there's a actually, let's get into it. So the different ways, and we'll actually talk a little bit about, because I got some stuff on the tech. Actually, let me play this. So, because I just want to play where he says that they're expecting to get in.
Operation. So we're very excited. Yeah, scalable in the buildings that we've already.
So here we go, right here.
Outstanding. It's the people that we're able to bring onto this team.
Yeah.
And Pete's a former professional athlete. He understands the value of a team, and we're very happy to have him on our team now too. And
I'm lucky to be here.
No, thank you.
CNBC.
I'm lucky to be here. You guys
we're happy you're here.
You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. And this technology is, it's world class. It's not just first class. It's world class. It's unbelievable.
We're just a small OTCB company getting ready to uplift in the very near future, so we're excited about our future. And
here we go.
And have some strong advisory support by Peter, helping us make some right decisions as we move forward.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very critical for us when we get to the NASDAQ, which Gerald said it's going to be in the near future, but I'm going to go on record and say we're going to be there within probably the next 8 weeks. So
8 weeks, folks.
That's going to change the dynamics of the capital structure of the company, because we're going to be able to have those institutional investors. And I believe there's an institutional demand. I mean, Kathy Wood from ARC.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, they're talking about Kathy Wood from ARC, which is a really strong possibility as well, because she already invested in another company that does, which does essentially the same thing, just there's a salmon. I don't think it's natural the way National Shrimp is doing it, and they're actually working on salmon. So the different ways that, that they could actually move up. The first one would be a reverse merger, right? Which wouldn't be the greatest thing in the world. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. Reverse mergers are not my area of expertise.
Sure.
They tend to have negative impact on share price.
Yep.
But it depends on for what reason. And it depends on, kind of like that alignment of, like goals.
Sure. So here's the thing. Every time there's a reverse merger, in fact, it's funny you mentioned USO. That's when I'm letting the cat out of the bag. It's one of his charts. I bought that like last March or April last year. Right. But I was like, wow, look at this. I didn't do enough DD, didn't do my D squared. Freaking reverse merged like a week or 2 weeks later and just got crushed. It's actually probably up 40, 50%, 60% from that point. But reverse mergers.
That was also like fundamentally driven.
Sure.
By what was happening in the energy industry at the time too.
Because they were about to be delisted. They were trading really, really low. They just got hammered along with all the other oil stocks. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, once the reverse merger happens, it's generally not a good thing for the stock, for the shareholders. A lot of people, you follow the sentiment. A lot of people are like, that would be awful. But some people are like, look, if that gets us on the NASDAQ, let's do it. So people are kind of in between. I kind of would rather that not happen because there are more natural ways to do it. Buyback program, I don't know how many shares they'd have to buy back, but if they were to somehow manage to do that, it's probably not going to happen. I don't even know, do stocks even, I can't imagine it's profitable or that easy to do enough of a buyback. But when the stock is this low, maybe it's possible. I don't know.
I mean, you buy back your shares, you take supply off the market.
Sure.
And it's going to drive your price higher, generally speaking.
Fair enough. Okay. No. And let's see. Sentiment skyrockets for the stock. So here's the one we're all hoping happens, right? So some major news comes out, maybe like the stock is ready, like the actual harvest is ready, something like that. People are like, boom. Because once again, if we go back, you guys can see it had a really big one. This was after the video came out saying that, they're expecting to be on the NASDAQ within 8 weeks, which was, once again, only 6 weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this, jumped 20%, so almost 20%. So if they can keep doing that and it goes up on its own, that would obviously be the best way.
I'm feeling sentiment starting to reach a fever pitch here.
It's
and the
getting
fact
there.
that the share price is still very subdued really makes me excited.
And don't you have a friend like in another state or something who...
Yeah. So the people I work with like to trade, and one of them who, he's a millionaire, shared this information about shrimp with all his cohorts at his country club. All millionaires. And what struck me was how these retired, very successful businessmen had never really heard of this stock. And they're all really excited about it.
Sure.
And
here's the important
it's
question.
OTC now, but
do they know?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Here's the important question. Do they know about the show? Because if they want to get all their information, man, we got it.
I'll tell them.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, proceed. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, not that you should extract a lot from that story.
Sure.
I just related, but I think taken as kind of like a microcosm, I think
of potential.
It could be reflective of these guys are millionaires.
Yeah, and millionaires,
they're active traders.
They're pretty prudent with their moni. They don't, they so if they're excited about it, there's a lot of people that'll just jump on a stock because it's cheap and Blue Sphere, AITX hoping someday. But when you have people in that economic level that are interested in it like that, I think it's a really good thing. So that's the one that we're hoping will happen. We'll see if it actually ends up being that way. So that's pretty much all I had. I don't know how else they could possibly. Is there any way you could think of they could possibly jump to 3 or move up to 3 within the next 7 weeks?
So they could just, I don't know, ride, what is generally positive sentiment.
Yeah.
And I personally think the markets head higher over the next couple of weeks. I think small caps and, even some of these microcap stocks, penny stocks, have a lot of room to rebound here. And I think shrimp, given all the attention it's getting, could really blow up here.
Let's hope so. That is for sure. All right, so moving in here. So this is a video because people have been saying that, or asking, or even claiming, the bears out there, probably the people shorting the damn stock, have been saying that they...
Sure.
What's that?
Sure.
Yeah. So have been saying, that it's GMO and it's not natural and blah, blah, blah. So this is the company, and our boy Rob, want to give it to him. He sent me the video, which is great. Honestly, nicely done. Can always count on him. Yeah, I was like, hey, do you remember with this video or who this person is? So anyway, he gave me the video. He gave me a different area to watch, but I like it right here. Just kind of explains. This is the company where they buy their PLs from. That's the post larvae. Once again, they buy the post larvae. They put in the tanks to grow it. That's generally what Natural Shrimp does. This is where they buy it from, and this is the process that they use. It's not GMO. It's selective breeding. Really, 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 really important. Here we go.
One developed for growth and the other for stress resistance. Matured females from one of the pure lines, selected for the best genetic traits, are conditioned in a tank allowing the best maturation and production of the highest quality eggs. Males carrying the best sperm of the same pure line are introduced to the same tank. The males and females mate, giving birth to a new generation, improving the genetic qualities inherited from their parents. From this group, 50 families of the new generation are created. The same process is duplicated with the other pure line. The 50 families of both groups are subjected to different conditions to force them to exhibit their best genetic traits. From each pure line, only 5 families are chosen, using an index that attaches different weights to characteristics such as reproductive performance, larval survival, growth, stress resistance, and general hardiness. Once the new families are identified, as they begin to grow, the best performing individuals from each family are separated out and allowed to reach maturity. As explained earlier, pure lines are not used as broodstock. Instead, individuals from both pure lines, males from one and females from the other, mate together to produce hybrid offspring. The hybrids contain the best genetic traits of both parents, outstanding growth, and enhanced stress resistance. These siblings become better than their parents. They grow as much as the mother and resist stress as well as their father. This cross prevents them from inbreeding and assures a genetically healthy organism. The hybrids are used to create commercial broodstock or to stock the GBT ponds.
Commercial brood stock, seed products development. You can see right here, seed products development. So this is, this basically, that's it. It's selective breeding. They don't do any type of GMO stuff or anything like that. It's all natural, obviously, natural shrimp, yada, yada, yada. So those of you out there who are saying that, there you go. So sorry about that, folks. You're wrong. But anyway.
That video was as interesting as it was frightening.
Yeah, it's cool. It's I like the little animations and everything. It's cute, but basically they breed a bunch. They take the best. One breed, I guess, is more for growth. The other one is for stress resistance, because obviously you want them to proliferate, and they won't do that if they're too stressed. That's why I hate to say it, but a lot of animals in zoos, they never have babies because the stress of living in a zoo. So they'll take the two genetic lines, they'll put them together, and they'll keep doing that. And, once they get to the ones they like, they'll go ahead and allow them to go out to be sold. So, and that's where Natural Shrimp gets their PLs from, their post larvae, and then they grow them from there. So anyway, that's our update, man. Let's see what happens. Natural Shrimp. Got to give it to him.
Can I say something really quickly about shrimp?
Sure.
Because, we've been following this one so intensely. And all I have to say is from a long duration standpoint, this is a surefire winner. I mean, look, our oceans are overfished. A lot of the fish-rich regions, South China Sea, are depleted. The regional powers controlling those waters are aggressively postured towards one another. Yeah. This is a great solution, right? And it checks 5 boxes for me that I, look to be checked when I'm buying, when I'm looking to add to my long-term portfolio. It's an emerging technology. It's scalable, right?
Sure.
It's filling a need, satisfying a demand.
Yep.
It has a big community around it, and it's socially responsible.
Sure. 100%. We can agree with that. And that's the thing. Like when he's talking about the need, I said in other videos, 90% of the seafood that we eat here in the country is imported. Half of that is farmed. So if we can farm our own shrimp, and once the shrimp situation's rocking and rolling, they've already been testing for fin fish like salmon, like trout, all that. Well, they should be able to do that as well. So, I mean, the sky's possibly the limit. Once again, we're not financial advisors. I'm just a stormtrooper here.
64 cents.
Dude, 64 freaking cents.
64 cents.
They're about to be uplisted. They have, a gentleman from CNBC who's pretty well known, like on the advisory board. They just had the mayor show up for the reveal, a congressman show up for the reveal. Like, come on, man. So it's funny too. Go ahead.
Sell 20,000 Dogecoin and buy some shrimp.
There you go. Where is Dogecoin?
Buy one share.
Let's take a quick peek. I'm quite curious to see where Dogecoin is.
It had a big rip off that Elon Musk tweet.
55.9. So, or 5.59 cents, that is. So, I mean, it's right. It's pretty much where it's been. Nothing special there. All right. So that being said, let's move into the Palantir thing. This is pretty cool. As you can see, this is where all of our views from the shrimp people completely drop off. But that's anyway. So this was actually came out April 1st. And this is the 11th Amendment provides, among other things, the increase of $200 million to the revolving commitments of the existing lenders under the existing credit agreement for a total revolving commitment of $400 million. So essentially, long story short, what happened was Palantir paid off their debts. Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, and Royal Bank of Canada just doubled their credit line. So this is, once again, April 1st. So this just came out. This is pre-market, before the market opens up. Big deal, because as we know, Morgan Stanley and these companies will give price targets. So they can say, all right, they paid off their debt. We just doubled their ability to loan from us. We're raising the price target to $80, let's say. That would be great, wouldn't it? It's pretty awesome, I have to say.
I do think we're going to break out of this neckline pattern. It looks like from a time perspective, we're basically there.
Sure.
I don't see it, dropping and really like defining that wide shoulder.
Sure.
I think it heads higher. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think it breaks out of that neckline range, though.
I mean, we've been holding it for quite some time. Let me see. I guess support kind of moved just a little bit. Right now, well, it's kind of hard to say. But yeah, I mean, it's at the same time, like, it's been kind of holding it. There's your neckline. It's been holding it for a while. We had the little shoulder dip down a little bit. Hopefully this news moves it up, because it seems like, actually, let's go ahead and take a look.
I think it's been quite resilient against the backdrop of this tech sell-off.
Sure.
We've been seeing over the past few weeks.
Short interest for Palantir is, actually, any guesses? Let's take a guess.
Palantir?
Forget 30. It. 16%. It's not even worth guessing.
No, not even worth.
No. Well, I mean, that's good. Not a whole lot of stuff holding it down. So why is it? I don't understand why it's struggling so much. Either does anybody else, for that matter. So, but it's still pretty cool. And moving on, markets ended up, which is great for everybody. It was just, you called it. You said that Thursday expected things to be up, and 100% they were. And having 900,000 new jobs that were added in March officially. I mean, Monday is going to go crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that being said, we can go in and move into our featured stock that we did last, actually this week it was Tuesday. So we can go ahead and take a look at how it did. VIX Corporation, once again, augmented reality. Matt here had a really nice little did some nice DD on that, and it's a pretty solid company. They look cool. It's a great entry point. In fact, there was Microsoft, I don't know what the hell, they sold a whole bunch of like VR glasses to a company. I think
they got that big military contract, the Army contract.
Yeah, what is it? AR glasses? Yeah, $21.9 billion. So it's pretty important because that's just going to boost the entire sector. Just the fact that Microsoft is willing to invest that much money into the sector is really, really good for this stock and for everything.
projected to be a $350 billion space by 2026.
I can see that. I can see that. So Google did a lot of research. I don't know, like, it's interesting that they're not involved right now at all in this, because they kind of started it. And with all these other companies that are really interested in the stock, or interested in the technology, you would think that they were like, oh, all right, it's cool now. Let's all do it. But I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. Yeah. But anyway, it's down 2%. The reason why it was down 2% is because as soon as the infrastructure bill came out, that's where all the money went. And if if you tune in tomorrow, we're actually going to be doing 5 industries, and we'll have a bunch of tickers for you on stuff that we expect to actually benefit from that infrastructure bill. All right, so I guess we'll move into everyone's favorite segment, 3 charts with Matt. We're going to start with the VIX. Once again, our favorite chart. And let me get out, let's get out the 5-day on this, because we've been looking at the month for a while. 17.33.
Interesting.
Completely interesting.
That we land right here. I've been kind of predicting us getting to this figure. Now, my question is, do we bounce or do we just collapse further? I mean, we had a 10% drop on Thursday, which is pretty significant.
10.67.
It could be some short covering. Yeah. Or in this case, some long covering, but I won't get into that now. I don't know. I think if Monday opens up green, which it looks like it will right now, because futures were already up on Friday. I think it heads lower. And if, between that 17 area and that 14 area, there's nothing but air. So, I mean, maybe we do.
So some VX
really
puts, VXX puts?
Yeah. A collapse here.
Sure.
A big unwinding
which you've also been saying is a very, very strong possibility. You've kind of been predicting that, saying there's nothing from 17 to 14. And if it drops below 13, we could easily see, 9 or 10.
Drops below 13, 11, and then from there. So the VIX is going to get to new all-time lows over the next couple of years. That I'm sure of. A lot of people are short bull right now. This Archegos Capital story, I think, still has legs. So maybe there's that factoring into this decrease in the VIX by way of a lot of institutional investors unwinding from, their short bull trade in order to participate in, maybe like a hedge program, something like that.
Sure. Just
in case there's more contagion, more people have to liquidate some of their books in order to, cover margin. But that being said, and look, I'm certainly not saying that Archegos is, a contagion. I do think it's contained. Most experts suggest, even bearish experts suggest that this seems contained.
But you did say that there could be a couple more down the road, right?
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, just when you're 9 to 10x leveraged into
was that where they were really
companies. That's what a lot of investigative journalists, financial journalists are kind of like saying right now.
Sure.
But so much information hasn't been disclosed and probably will never be disclosed. And so I think right now you have hedge funds talking to market makers, talking to mutual funds, and about how to kind of offload some of these shares without rocking the market.
Sure.
And I'm quite sure they'll be able to do it. They're smart people. But it's interesting what's happening with the VIX right now. I didn't think it was going to unwind this quickly. It is. I think that's extremely bullish in the short term for the market. But if it does go down to that 14-ish level by options expiration in the next couple of weeks, I would lean more towards a bounce from that area.
Okay.
And then, of course, I think that bounce quickly gets crushed.
Sure.
So
as they all have. All the bounces have been crushed.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next one, IWM, which is another one that you follow quite heavily. We both do for that matter. So this is the Russell, finished it 223.74. Take it away.
So whenever the Russell, and we talk about the IWM because, it's a more accessible product that you can invest in that tracks the Russell.
Sure.
Leads the other indices, that is very bullish, right? And it leads to the upside, I should say. So the Russell right now it actually has already recaptured its 50-day moving average, and that moving average, as opposed to the 20-day, is kind of like what the larger institutional long-term investors look at. They don't want to buy something that's been trading, that's been closing daily or weekly candles underneath the 50-day MA, and the fact that the Russell, which is kind of like a more riskier play, has so quickly rebounded and recaptured that critical level. I believe it's also above its 20-day EMA right now too, is a very, very, very good sign. I think the Russell gets to new all-time highs. And as we'll talk about in tomorrow's show, I think it's also going to benefit from positive sentiment around this infrastructure bill.
I mean, it's kind of new all-time highs anyway. It's just, dude, just looking at where it's gone, I know, in the last year, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you've been talking about how it's been outpacing everything else for the longest time, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and then the last one, USO, the one I got beat up a little bit on it right before.
Everyone did. Yeah. I did too. Don't worry.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad. Okay.
I was also messing around with some highly leveraged ETFs.
Sure.
That track crude, which actually got delisted. So
that's a bummer. Damn.
That wasn't a pleasant experience.
Whew.
But it was a learning experience.
Sure, no doubt. I mean, I learned my lesson from this one. That's for sure. I didn't invest a lot. That's so it was fine.
Yeah. But I mean, the reason why I'm looking at the USO, it had a pretty healthy bounce on the heels of this infrastructure bill announcement. It's comprised, obviously, of not comprised of, it tracks crude basically. Sure. Crude, obviously, oil is necessary for construction. It is what drives construction, not just talking about diesel and gasoline, oil byproducts, think like WD-40, right?
Sure.
Lubricants. So it's also a very cyclical commodity. It has a seasonality to it. The warmer months generally see, prices go higher. So I'm very, very bullish on oil right now. I do think it's capped right now at that $60 per barrel level, crude, speaking WTI crude, which kind of does cap the USO. But I do think the USO has room to run right now. And, again, I'm looking at it as kind of like a leading indicator as far as where the market may head, at least in the short term.
Sure. And if we actually look at FANG had a great Friday. Diamondback Energy, it's one of my favorite oil stocks to watch. It was actually up 10.5% on Friday. So this is the one we actually did something with oil, I guess it was about a month and a half ago. And we talked about this one. We talked about Oxy, which is another one, Occidental Petroleum. This one is a little bit more high risk, high reward. You can see that went up 2.85%. And what was the one?
I believe you had a really good trade on Oxy.
I did
last year, didn't you?
I had a great trade on Oxy because I got it when it was like $9-10, and then I was able to, and I was able to dump it at like 16. Well, yeah, I mean $8 I think was bottom. I dumped it at like 16, moved into other stuff. But it's one of the ones that has a lot of room to grow. FANG, once again, a lot more stable, lower risk, lower reward. Oxy, high risk, high reward. And what was the one that you had?
The oil stocks I'm following oil services providers right now.
Okay.
So like Kinder Morgan and Halliburton, but I'm actually going to talk about
those. Yeah, we'll talk about those tomorrow for sure. All right. Yeah. Well, with that being said, I guess we can jump into our predictions. So what do you think about actually, let me get out of here. There we go. So VIX, let's see. Well, let's still talk about the market. Market on Monday, okay. Up or down? Up. I agree, 100%. All right, so VIX by Friday, up or down?
Down.
Down? Okay.
Not by a lot. I really think we get a flush. Right? If the market maintains over the next week, I think the VIX flush, like short/long covering, really hits home the week after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And overall, I mean, we don't have to ask this question. We both expect everything to be up for the week. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of just movement in the economy. Obviously, the 900,000 jobs is huge. The infrastructure bill that's just starting to be unpacked. They're already talking about the next bill, which you had mentioned. So I really think that we're gonna start moving, man. It's just pretty awesome. So I think overall, it's time to run with the bulls, folks. I gotta get a bull sound effect. Gotta get one. I do. So all right. Well, I guess.
But what do they sound like when they're running? Do they make a different sound than say like?
I mean, it would probably be like a bull or something like that.
When it runs?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Maybe more like guttural noise,
or maybe I get like a
grunting in there.
stampede sound effect. That would be kind of cool.
Okay.
A whole bunch of bulls running. It doesn't have to be one bull. Why can't we get a bunch of bulls? All right. So I guess that's pretty much it. Any last minute thoughts?
Follow the Russell.
Yeah.
Go where the Russell goes.
Fair enough. I'm with you on that. Once again, don't forget to check out our other show, Because We Said So. I got a link down below. It's current events. It's funny. It's risque. It's got, it's about an hour and a half show. It's long. We take a couple breaks, but it's just really nice to see what's going on with the week and kind of get your news in a less formal way. So, all right. Please leave a comment. Go subscribe, like us, all that cool stuff. Really appreciate everyone who's been watching and tuning in. Any shrimp people that are still watching, bravo. You made it. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Boom.